In this video, we're going to talk about lights in Unreal Engine 5, and we're going to see how we can generate different effects for natural light, natural lighting, and artificial lighting using the different lights that we have at our disposal. You can see I created kind of a night scene here, night ambientation using the standard sun and sky system. So by changing the parameters of the sunlight and the skylight, we can get different effects. And here, if we get inside, these are different techniques, and we can see here how the light is projecting an image. This is a projector effect, and also it's using right here some IES lights in combination with the spotlight. And so we will see how we can create artificial lights and what types of lights there are in Unreal Engine 5, like the Omni light, spotlight, and the area light, and so on. So let's get started. And the first thing we should do is to check if we are using Lumen. So in Unreal Engine 5, we don't use static lighting, but everything is dynamic thanks to Lumen. So we need to make sure that our lights are set to be used with Lumen. And the first thing you should do, you will probably have already the directional light, which is the sunlight. So if I go here, this is the third person shooter example scene that we have been using, and you can open up just by launching the Epic Games launcher. So right now we're using the sunlight. Well, this is actually more a moonlight than a sunlight right here, but essentially this is a directional light. You can see there, I can turn that on and off. And this one here, it's, if we go here in the parameters, you can see it's movable. So this is for dynamic lighting, which means that it's going to be calculated dynamically without having to render or to build anything. So the old way was to create lights and then build up the lighting, which was baked on the objects. So shadows and lights were baked on the objects. In the dynamic Lumen lighting, we don't need to do that. Everything is going to be just movable and is going to be calculated in real time. This is the beauty and the strength of the Lumen system. So the first thing you should do is check if everything is alright with Lumen. You can go to Editor, Project Settings, and if you look for Global Illumination, like that, you're gonna go into the, you can see here, into the rendering section, and this is right now Lumen, and this was the old one, ray traced, and we have some other there, but this is the one you want to use. This is the most advanced. Now if we go again in the engine section here, you will find a lot of parameters, but the most important one is the global illumination, the reflections, which is going to be again Lumen. Now you can see you can also adjust and change the parameters for the global illumination reflection. And also another important thing is the distance field, this one here, mesh distance fields, which is the system that is going to work with Lumen to create lighting on objects. But without going too technical, you need to check this on. But if you use the samples that you find in Unreal Engine 5, everything it's already set up for you, so you don't need to do anything. This is just to explain just a little bit how the project has been set up. Now the global illumination, for those of you who don't know, is just a more advanced system, and it uses direct plus indirect lighting. So if you go on the web and search for global illumination on and off, you will see the difference. So when you're using the global illumination, light won't only hit a surface and then stop there, but it will bounce on the scene, taking the colors with it, so it's going to have a more realistic effect, more natural effect. Now all of this in other rendering engine like for example, V-Ray or Corona, needs to be baked, needs to be calculated, needs to be rendered. Here, it's all real time. Now, just to make things a little more specific, when you create renderings, static renderings, and you want to have like a hyper realistic effect, you should use a render engine, like again, V-Ray or Final Gator or Lightmass in a real engine. So that's gonna give you like more precise calculation of lights and shadows and everything, but it's gonna be also heavier, and you cannot play that in real time while you can do that with Lumen, and it's really going to have a beautiful effect. So, well, it's your choice. You can, if you want to do interactive simulation, if you want to do video games, now this is the way it's gonna work in Unreal Engine. If you want to do something else, probably you should move into V-Ray or Corona or other render engine out there. Now, another really important panel here when you want to start to work with lighting is the environment light mixer. So if you go into window, you will find it here, environment light mixer. You can also dock this panel around, or you can leave it right here. Now, this is a management tool. So you can manage the natural lights from here. So you can manage the, let's say, most important directional light, which is my moonlight at the moment. And then you have the skylight. You can see I've set up all of these to make it look like a night scene. So if you want to simulate natural light, you will need sunlight, skylight, definitely. And then you can also use the sky atmosphere, which is going to make things more realistic and better. And also volumetric cloud. So if I delete those four, I am only left with the artificial lights. This is like pitch black. It's not really great, even if you are like in the middle of the night. That's not gonna be possible. You never have like total darkness like that. But this is good if you want to concentrate on the artificial lights and then you want to move into natural. But I usually do the opposite, because thanks to indirect lighting, thanks to global illumination, I can illuminate an interior also with external lights or natural lights. So let's first add this environmental and external lights. So first one is going to be directional light. When you add the directional light, doesn't matter where you place it. So you can place it anywhere. It matters how you rotate it. So when you rotate, you're going to start to see this directional light coming in your scene. But you can see there is still a black background. Now, let's go into the directional light settings and let's make sure that this is set on movable, because this is going to make it dynamic. And you can also change here some other parameters, like if you want to use the temperature instead of the standard color. If you lower the temperature, you're going to have like more orange looking, and if you increase it, a more bluish look. So this is what happens in reality. Lights use temperature, and you will find it also in the other lights right here. Now you can see that X sign on that other light. That's because this is, if we move up, this is stationary or static, so you want to make it movable. Make it movable, that X sign is going to disappear because this is now ready for dynamic lighting. Okay, let's go back to our sunlight and let's continue here to check the various parameters. Now this one here is to decide if you want to affect the world or not. Well, yes, definitely. And also if you want to project shadows or not. Shadows are also really important, and usually they are turned on by default. Okay, and then we can adjust the indirect lighting intensity. So if you can see, if I increase the indirect lighting, even though I am in an interior, I am like getting this really bright thanks to the indirect lighting. If I set this to 0, you can see that the sunlight here, it's only gonna affect that area right there. So this is a perfect explanation for direct and indirect. And then you can just go here, and I'm gonna show you the most important settings. The intensity, of course, is important for the directional light, but also for the other lights. And also the light color. If you want to set up an exact color, you can